All right. So now let's start writing our lobby system project and see how it works. So as you see, when you download the lobby project assignment and you open the Flash develop file, you would see that there are and all other games that we have developed so far, the library component that has all the assets and the Electro server client is included. The binary files are also included, and then all of your material and source code is under the source folder. And the assets basically are the assets for the dig game, Flash game, and your chat assets and everything that we have worked so far. Under the COM or the common folders, you would have the gamebook folder, and here you see two folders, dig folder and lobby folder. The dig folder basically has the functionalities of your dig game, a little bit enhanced, but nevertheless you have the functionalities for the dig game. We're primarily interested in the lobby, and so your user interface is under the UI, but we have the main lobby flow and lobby action scripts. So if you open the main file, you would see that there's the package, and basically you have the main function, and the main function creates and instantiates a lobby flow class, or an object of the lobby flow class. So in the lobby flow class, you would have the basic functionalities for the 4 states of your game, and the ability to initialize your lobby flow and to open and join games, and basically get the functionalities that you need. So I'll go over and in this project and talk about different components, and then certain parts of the components of this game that are primarily related with the lobby development are missing, and we will fill these parts out. So the lobby flow is basically a public class, and you have 3 variables. You have an Electro server, a lobby, and a game object. Electro server is of course an Electro server object, and takes care of your Electro server message initialization and serialization, deserialization. Lobby is a class that we will talk about later. It has the functionalities of a lobby system, and the game is your dig game, and you basically instantiate the dig game class from here under the player. You have a constructor of your lobby flow, and you call the initialization function of your lobby flow. Here you set your server settings. So your server.xml is a file that is under the binaries, and the server.xml has the port 9899 and the IP address 127.0.0.1. You load that file, you initialize and you allocate memory for your Electro server. You set the protocols of your Electro server. You initialize your event listeners on connection event, on login response, and on connection close events, and you associate them with your lobby system, with your Electro server. We did this previously. Again, you have a file load function that is called, and it reads and parses out your XML file and associates the IP and the port numbers, and then creates the connection with your Electro server. When a user is connected and logged in, you would want to create a chat room. Or essentially you would not want to create your lobby room here. So to do this, we would create the object of lobby, and then we add an event listener to this object. And the event listener basically looks for lobby joined game, and once the joined game event of the lobby is called, we call the onJoin game function or event handler. Joined game is already created, and it's a function that is somewhere down here. unjoined game here, which we will call. Then we set the instance of the Electro server of our lobby system, and then we initialize our lobby, and then we add the lobby. So this would take care of the creation of our lobby system. Now, once the lobby is joined, or the game is joined, then we basically remove the lobby and create the game. So in this case, we create a game room, which is a dig game. We set the Electro server object of the game room, and we set the room of our game room to be the room of our lobby, or rather the game room of our lobby. Then we would have to wait, or basically let the game take over, and then the game goes and the gameplay runs, and basically we'll create an on the game back to lobby event listener. So when the game is over, then we allow the users to go back to the lobby. So there's a game dot add event listener, and it is a dig game back to lobby, and it is called on the game back to lobby, which is the function that we call. So when the game is done, then we allow the control to move back to the lobby. Next step is to initialize our game. And then we would add the game to the screen. And then we remove the lobby. Alright, so this would take care of our joining of a game from the lobby. So essentially we keep the Electro server, the game room of the lobby, and we created the game. We put it in the game object of our game flow, or lobby flow rather, and then we destroy the lobby. So let's suppose that the game is over. So once the game is over, then we would have to do the opposite. We destroy the game and we come back to the lobby. So in this case, we do the game destroy remove child game and game remove event listener big game dot back to lobby. and then we create the lobby back. And we have already the create lobby function up here, so we just call it up. Alright, so let me just go over the rest of these functions here. So the show error, basically if any error happens, you just create a alert screen and you show the error on it. And when the user presses OK, then you just remove the error. On connection event is basically the same as we did before. If the connection is accepted, meaning the Electro server is running, you create the login screen, and otherwise you show that the connection failed. For the create login screen, you basically create a screen with a little text box and a little button. And then once the user sends the submit, you create a username, and then you send a login request with the username, and you send it to the Electro server. And when the user has been logged in on the login response, if the user is logged in, you create the lobby. Otherwise, you show an error message. And if the user closes, you call the onConnection closed message, and that would take care of removing the users from the list and closing their connections. So this is the lobby flow that we have set up so far. And our lobby is still empty, so certain functionalities are not yet accessible. Next, we'll go and we establish the functionalities in our lobby system. Alright, now we are at the stage that we can go ahead and start adding the functionalities that are needed for our lobby to be working. And of course, what I have for you is the backbone and the basic components of your lobby, but certain parts of it are inaccessible. So that's the part that we will be writing. So notice here what's happening with our lobby system. We have a lobby class, and its join game is a string called join game. And so we will pass this in as a plugin. So the join game was the plugin deserialization and serialization component that will go back and forth to the server. We have an Electro server object. We have a room and a game room. We have user list, game lists, history, which is the context of our chat. Basically, this lobby is very much like the chat example. We have a message type, which is a text input. We have a join game button, and then we have a send button. We have a chat room label, which is a text label, and a join room screen, which is an object of a create room object. We also have a timer, a button for quick join, and a string that has the name of the room that will be joined. So we have a function, a constructor for the class, which is lobby, and once the lobby is created, we would initialize it. And we see the constructor. Did I initialize the lobby here? Yeah. Alright, so yeah, we call the initialization. Now, for the initializing of the lobby, we would add our Electro server event listeners to it. So we have the Electro server add event listener message type join room event, and we call it on join room event, and the scope of this function is this. Okay, and so the on join room event is going to be somewhere down here, that is the function that joins us to the rooms. Here it is, on join room event. And you may remember some of these basically from our chat example. Let me just go ahead and add the other one. We have one for public message. We have one for private message. A find game response. We call it on find games response. And the scope is going to be this class. We'll add one for generic error response whenever an error happens on the server that is caused by the client. We call this function. And finally, create or join room. It's when the user clicks on the join room or create room button. So if the game room is not available, we create it, otherwise we join it. Alright. Next, we'll create a game list refresh timer. And we set it up at 2000. We start the timer and we let the timer run. And if the timer finished, then we call the onGameListRefreshTimer function. We build the UI and we join the lobby room. One last thing I need to do is I need to go and double check to see if all these names are the same. Unjoin room event, and public message event, and private message event. Did I add the user list? I forgot the user list update, so let's go and add it. Alright, on find games response, on generic error response, and on create or join room response. So, and of course, with the initialization function we have here, we have one that destroys the game room or the lobby, as we saw earlier. Right. Next, we need to set the functionality up for the users to be able to quickly join a room or a game rather. So we basically go and set the quick join room enabled attribute to false. Then we create a variable, and this is called quick join game room request. So we call it quick join request of the type quick join game request join game request, quick join game request, quick join game request. We populate it with the game type and the zone. So we go set game type to be plugin constants dot game name, and set its ID, set its zone actually, quick join room, set zone, and we call it game zone, and we send it to the Electro server. Alright, so this would take care of quick joining a game, basically by setting up its property as false. Once you press the quick join, you create a quick join request, you set its game type to be the game name, its zone name to be game zone, and quickly join it. Let's look at the plugin constants. Plugin constants game name is digging plugin 2. So basically we would send the name digging plugin 2 into our game initializer in this case, or into our Electro server rather. Next, we need to set the functionalities up for allowing the users to join a specific game when they click on the list of the games that are being played. So in this case, we create a variable join game request to be the type of join game request join game request, and next we populate its properties. So game join game request dot set game ID to be server game dot get game game ID, and join game request set game type to be the type of plugin constants dot game name. And once it's set up, we send it to our Electro server. Join game request. Alright, notice that when we set the join game request and basically we ask the user to join and we get a response back from the server, we need to call the on create or join game response. So that's the response that's going to be called whenever someone wants to either quickly join a game or join a game that they've selected from the list. So the quick on create or join game response is going to have a create or join game response argument. So we test to see if this argument is successful, or basically if the users or if the server was able to find a game to join the users to. So if it's successful, join, what we will do is that we would go and assign our game room and initialize it basically. So we create a room for the game, and then we add the room ID and for this we get the room ID from our successful logging into the game room. Get room ID, and same thing with the zone. So game room dot set zone ID will be e get zone ID. However, if the attempt was not successful, what we need to do is to quick join or enable our quick join and then see what happened. Quick join game dot enabled is going to be true. Trace e dot get ESR dot get description f e dot get ESR was ers dot game doesn't exist. Then here we would basically show that this game hasn't been registered with this server. Please register the game first. Alright, the next function is a function that's the generic error. When something happens that's a client mistake and a client error, we basically just trace that back. And then next we'll just go ahead and go through the basic simple functionalities that make the chat room to be able to update the list of the messages. So we have an on-game refreshed list. Every time the timer runs, we basically create a find game request. We set the criteria for it. Basically, we plot, we use the name of the games that are used. Basically, in our case, dig game 2, and then we send that find game request to the server to update our list. Once the update is received from the find game request, then we just refresh the game list. These functionalities for on user selected, for send click, for join room are practically the same things as we did with our chat room assignment. So basically, users join the room, we see them added to the list. If you click on one user, you can send a private message. If you send a public message, you basically send the message to everybody. You allow the username of the lists to be refreshed when new users join, and also we refresh the list of our games when new games are created. We have the build UI element, and we need to go and write these last two functionalities for when user clicks on a game, and then also when the user quickly joins the room, or quickly join, or uses a quick join. So for the on game selected, what we're going to do is that we're going to go and set the join game enabled to true, so the user can join that game when they click on it. And then for the quick join, we basically call up the function quick join when the user clicks on the quick join button and joins the room, or rather joins the game. So as you see here, the user is added to the list, can send public message when the user clicks on a quick join. Actually, I think there's something missing with my quick join. Okay, I traced down my message, my joining, and this was the problem. I didn't send the dispatch event that essentially joins the rooms. So here I need to use and call the function dispatch event, and that event is basically new event, and what's the type is joined game. Okay, so that was what was missing. Let me just highlight this. This actually asks your server plugin to create your game or join you. Okay, so I believe that this was what was missing with my functionality. Let's see. Okay, yeah. When we quick join, as you see here, we will go and we will wait for players. And then when I call up a new player here, alright, so here we go. And we submit. So let me just cancel this player here and relog another player in. So here we've got, oh yeah, that user existed. Alright, let's see what's happening. I think let's actually rerun this whole thing twice, one more time. I had leftover instances of my classes. Alright, so here we've got the two players, the first player and the second player. Alright, so we can send public messages and private messages. Well, something is not quite working. Of course, when I was doing the unjoin game clicked, I forgot to basically join the users um, or call up the join game. So when the user clicks on join game clicked button, then we basically go ahead and if let me just go up here, check real quickly to see if I have my join game function. Okay, here's the join game function. So I need to call that up when the users click the join room. So if game list selected item is not null, you've got to create a variable, and that variable is basically our server game list dot selected item dot data as our server game, and then we join it. Okay, alright, I think now this should do it. Alright, a typo there. Okay, and log in our second user here. Alright, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this. Okay, so I have still a problem with my program, and let's just debug it one more time. Let's see what's happening. Alright, so this is one. Alright, so when I attempt to do this, an error is popping up. When an update is happening on my user lists. Because I have two users here, but the first user didn't update. Alright, so on update event. Let's look at our event handlers. So when users are joining and the user list is being updated, okay, I think here's my problem. The update user list event is on user list updated event. Oh, I mistyped this as on user list update event. Let's go and see what exactly the name of that function is. On user list, so on user selected, I've got on user list updated event. So my function is missing a D here. Updated event. Okay. So now this should work. Alright, so that's one. Yeah. Let's close all these functions here and rerun the game. Okay. Alright, that's one user in here. And then we rerun the game one more time. And now we have two users there. And we have two users here as well. And so one user clicks on join. So they join the game. And on the other user we see that a game is opened. So when they join, now the two users are in. The countdown happens. And here we go, the gameplay. Alright, and then once the game is over, we move back to the lobby. Alright, so this is it. And again, let me just show you one more time the last problem that happened here. The name of my event listener or event handler was misspelled. That's why my game was hanging up and it was not running properly. Alright, well this is it, and I hope that this lobby example is helpful in showing you how you can create a mechanism to have all the users kind of enter in a public room, and then you will be able to show them certain things and let them do certain things before they join the game. And once they're in the game, then the gameplay takes over and works. So essentially you can think of this as this. The lobby is basically a public place everybody goes in. Once a person is in a lobby, they see the lobby and everything. Once they join the room, you just create another room for them, which is going to be the game, and then you destroy their lobby instance. So they're going to be taken out of the lobby and into the new game. And then when the game is over, then you would allow them a mechanism, basically by putting a little button or something that they click, that they go back into the lobby and they would be able to participate in other games. So I hope that this was a nice little video for everyone to work, and we will basically wrap up our study here on game networks, and please go on and finish up your game project and your game report by the deadline, and I wish you a very good winter break, and I will see you next semester. Bye bye.